Hats. Everybody loves them. Most everybody has some. It's an estimated $2 to $3 billion a year industry. It seems so simple. A store that only sells hats. The ultimate, why didn't I think of that idea? But back in the early to mid-90s, it was a bold idea, one that few would buy into. This is the story of how it happened.
We were both working at Foot Locker back in the early 90s. We were the trainers, if you will. We trained all the people to be managers.
We had discovered, after spending a lot of time together, that we wanted to go into business for ourselves.
Scott Molander was an operations-oriented guy. He understood distribution, business organization, and efficiency. Glenn Campbell was a natural-born salesman and a guy who could articulate a vision. And their vision was just coming into focus. One idea. Both had seen a hats-only store and were sure they could do it better. They were ready to make the leap.
For me, it was easy. I said, I can get a job anytime. I mean, I ate potatoes and macaroni and cheese and had a brick of Velveeta and cold beer. That's all you needed.
And we knew we were going to be successful. No, we didn't figure it'd ever be this big.
No.
But we thought we could make money, at least make a living.
Our goal was 20 stores in 5 years.
Right. And the business plan was 5 stores.
5 stores.
Yeah, so
That's all we were.
Seemed pretty reasonable.
We wrote a beautiful, beautiful business plan. Oh, I'll never forget working on that. It was fun. We sent a letter to a college professor of mine, George Berger, and Glenn and I were talking. We'd sent him a letter, hey, we got this great idea. He says, show me your business plan. So George goes, I think we can raise some money. You got to tell the story. You started out.
Well,
Come on.
his college professor had a venture club up in Sioux Falls. So he says, hey, I've got some interest. You guys fly up. We'll meet at the public library, and we're going to do a couple sessions with 6 or 8 people at a time. So we fly up to Sioux Falls, and
I'm sorry, I do this
okay,
every time. I do this every time.
so we're flying up to Sioux Falls, and we stay at a hotel. And I'm sitting on the bed, and he goes, hey, you know, get ready, let's go. So I shower, come out, and I go to put my suit on. And I grab my suit. Somehow, I don't even know I didn't know why I owned 2 suits at the time, but I got my suit for my 8th grade graduation. So I'm going, son of a, what am I gonna do? So I put the pants onto this thing, and I'm not kidding you. The pants come up to here, and I can't zip it. The crotch, I can barely get it up. So I'm looking at it, you know, it's
I'm
one of
not
those,
laughing this hard in the hotel room.
and I'm panicking. I'm saying, what the fuck do we do now? I mean. You know, the shirt and tie fit, so I got a shirt and tie.
This jacket cover.
Yeah, so I just held the jacket right in front of my crotch. And so we walk across the street to meet these people, and thank God, you know, I was holding my crotch, and, hey, how you doing, Glenn Campbell? You know, and the meeting was at a table. So we were at a table we could sit down and you couldn't see anything. But for
Pulled
about
it off for 4 hours.
So, but we actually raised 150 grand. We thought the hard part would be raising money. The easy part would be finding them all. Knock, 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 shut the door. I mean, nobody wanted us. I don't know, hats are not a good idea. You know, I think that's the only time we looked at each other and go,
Okay.
what's going on? Finally, somebody I think the Greenwood Mall manager said, Tippecanoe Mall, they've got some vacancies. And so that's kind of how we ended up at Tippecanoe Mall. Everybody asks, why would you start at Tippecanoe Mall?
He set them up in what had been a women's clothing store. 400 square feet in the front and a huge 2,600 in the back room. They went on overdrive to fill the store with hats, and the drive from Indianapolis, just an hour away, could get tough.
And we had a tough winter that winter.
Yeah.
If you remember Highway 65, when it snows and blows, getting back and forth to that sometimes tough.
Yeah.
So we slept a lot of evenings in that store.
I was there for store 1. I was going to college in North Dakota, where Scott and I are from. I got to Scott's place that night. He had a condo, and I walked in the door, and I thought, hey, we're gonna have a couple beers, and I'm here, and you know, and walked in, and there were hats everywhere, boxes of hats everywhere, and he's like, all right, well, if you're not doing anything, why don't you start tagging some hats? I'm like, what? All the merchandise, we hauled it all up ourselves and opened up on Friday, November 3rd.
My little brother was there. That was wage
His brother was
violation.
there. That was a wage violation. Yeah,
$1,000 a month he got to work 80, 90 hours a week.
it seemed like a lot of money to me. But yeah, I think they told me, later on, you were kind of screwed over, but I didn't think so. So.
I bet I spent the night in that store a dozen times the first 60 days. I could set the alarm for 9:45, put a little water in my face, brush my teeth, and go open the gate. You're wearing a hat. Nobody knows. You shave about every 3 days, and that's the gig. I mean, it couldn't have been any better.
Probably could have sold more hats if you used more deodorant.
Yeah, probably. First store had about 6,000 units in it.
Yep.
800 different styles of hats,
Yep.
which was the reason it became successful, because you can walk in anywhere and see some hats.
Yeah.
You can walk up and down the mall and find hats everywhere, but you don't find 600 or 700 or 800 different hats.
One of the things we always talked about in our business plan was everybody's from somewhere, and we're going to be a much more transient society. So somebody from California is going to live in Indiana, and they're going to want their UCLA hat.
As Christmas that year came and went, the little hat store became a mall favorite.
We did $108,000.
$108,000.
Sold over 6,000 hats. 100,000 was the big kick for us.
But then Christmas was over and the lease was up.
I wake up one morning from sleeping in the store. This was right after the new year. And I open the gate, I'm not kidding, right at 10 o'clock. And there's a bunch of suits right outside my door. And I'm thinking, oh hell, we're done. I thought, this is it, they're kicking us out. I shook hands, and I can't remember the people I met, but they said, hey, we really like what you guys did. You did a great job. We see your sales, and we're wondering if you guys want to become, maybe sign an extended lease, 6 months or a year. Here, we're going to say, hey, we also got a couple other malls in the area we really like you to do. That was Muncie and Champaign. And so, all of a sudden we went from begging to get into one store to now having at least a year lease on the one store and a couple 60-day or 90-day deals in the other two.
It was fun once we got that second store open, because then we'd start having daily contests with each other about competing each other in sales. Until, so we'd call each other. But then they got the first phone bill, and Glenn called and said, you guys got to quit calling each other every day because you're running up the phone bill. Oh, okay. So we kind of quit doing that.
Keeping costs low was critical, so Scott's Condo remained the business headquarters and makeshift distribution center.
UPS guy would deliver it, we would tag it, and then we'd ship it out the next day. We'd drive it to different managers. They'd meet us.
So I would get up like at 4 in the morning, drive 2 hours to Crawfordsville. He'd shove as many boxes that fit in the back of my little car as we had, that we could fit, and then buy me an Egg McMuffin, and we'd turn around and I'd head back to Champaign and get in there and get all the hats up on the wall before this mall opened at 8 o'clock. So.
Getting the hats to sell was a challenge for such a small ragtag startup.
Nike wouldn't talk to us. We'd actually go to other stores and buy closeout Nike stuff and put it in our store for full price.
Hat manufacturers weren't quite sure what to make of them.
We met over on West 86th Street in an apartment, and so I went in there, and I didn't really know anything about Glenn or Scott. It was Scott's apartment, as a matter of fact, and I went in and it looked like a couple of college guys were living there.
I remember waking up one morning, come out there, kitchen table, there's Scott and Glenn having a meeting with Dane Marr, who's a representative for Zephyr, who was one of the first big companies to really sell to us in college.
And we cleared some stuff off of one of those little kitchenette type tables.
Yeah, I remember walking out there. I'm sure I just had a pair of shorts on, a t-shirt, and come walking out and like, hey, what's going on out here? Oh, sorry, excuse us. That was a big deal to get them to sell to us.
No one ever believed a hat concept could work. We talked ourselves into believing it, knowing in the back of our minds that it might not work.
We had a little cash flow.
Yeah, we underestimated cash flow.
We just kept calling George, put some more money in checking out, just 10, just 15, just 20.
Each time Glenn and Scott reached the bottom of the barrel, the third silent partner, George Berger, would put his own money into the company bank account until they could catch back up.
Couldn't make payroll.
Couldn't make
few
payroll a couple
Decembers.
times.
That was tough.
Right before.
But January was, as soon as Christmas came, I mean.
Oh, we were Fat City.
Yeah, you do so much of your business from December 15th through Christmas that, you're rolling in cash after that.
So he's very vital. He's very confident in the plan and that we could hit the numbers. So, if he wouldn't have stepped foot up at that point during that 6-month to a year span, we probably wouldn't be around.
With opportunity to continue to open stores and prove the concept, and yet cash always being tight, frugality was a mantra for everyone at the company.
Yeah, we were tight.
Frugal.
Yeah.
My wife, I was talking to my wife the other day, about she goes, what used to scare her is we had the who got the cheapest, dirtiest hotel room
Yeah.
contest and brag about it. And she goes, "You're gonna come home with
Who got bit by the spider at that night's Inn?
Charlie got bit by a spider in the eye. Woke up, his eye was swollen shut. Everybody's looking at him crazy. I finally got him an eye patch because I was sick of looking at it. But we check out the Night's Inn because we didn't want Charlie to get hurt anymore. And we go to a Quality Inn, and Mo got mad at us because we spent $15 more a night to check into the Quality Inn. But
We stayed at some bad ones. And thing is, we check up 3 or 4 to a room, and it was one bed or not.
Yeah.
2 to bed, 1 on the floor, 1 on a cot. It didn't matter.
The message of being frugal is definitely, you know, in bold letters.
Some scary days. Remember Store 7? Janitor's
Fort
closet.
Wayne, yeah. We opened a store in a janitor's closet.
Yep.
That mall was so good that we
took a janitor's
We took
closet.
a 100 square foot space, which was a janitor's closet. Did 350 grand in a closet.
Still, they built fun into the culture. Stores competed for top sales numbers. Yet the prizes were as fancy as the hotel rooms.
First contest winner got a barbecue at their house.
And we were driving out to barbecue. They probably
Neil Davis won it.
Scott and Glenn and their wives packed up from Indianapolis and drove out to my apartment in Champaign, Illinois, and grilled burgers on my deck. My wife wasn't real happy, I don't think. But
this is the kind of contest you win? They come to our house and cook?
We just barbecued for him. That was supposed to be the big contest winner. Oh, that's a bad deal.
but
He really he won, but he really lost.
You know, we had a smaller group of people that went and opened the stores and things like that we all kind of traveled together. But it was interesting. We'd rent U-Hauls we'd drive them out there ourselves and you know, set the store up from soup to nuts, you know, bank account, everything.
You just pitched in and did whatever it took to get the thing going.
God, we've had just great people, man. They've stuck through thick and thin. I mean, I just, every time I start talking about them, I always get so choked up.
I think the biggest thing was having fun, but also the opportunity to grow and advance.
Just your whole attitude, you know, changed, knowing that what you did, you know, here at work was valued, and you know, you had a lot of input. Your work was appreciated.
And I remember that was saying, man, if we could just get this, you know, we'll hire 5 good guys to run 5 stores, then next year we'll maybe do 2 stores. Our ambitions were not that big, other than the people part.
They know that they don't make any of this happen by themselves. And they are both extremely focused on the people. And because they have always been so focused on the people, the results they can get from the people here are extraordinary.
He's definitely got a distinctive voice. I think people always, you know, when Scott's in the building or when Scott's around.
ah! His growl, I guess.
Neil, just his tone. Tad, what are you doing answering the phone?
It's kind of like a little pirate R in there as well too. So
You can hear different people doing it throughout the hallway through the day. You know, you'll hear him talk, and then everybody will go
You're like a pirate.
You guys imitate me better than I do it myself.
Scott, a very hard worker, great negotiator, obviously, in his position in real estate. But in those early days, you know what he did with the leases, putting leases together in malls, and still balancing what he had to, and Glenn as well during those days. But just a tremendous, focused individual.
Glenn's awesome. He's hilarious, but he knows his stuff. He's very smart, very fun.
He could know you for 5 minutes, and he could know you for 5 years, and he treats you just like you're, one of his good friends. So he's definitely very charismatic.
Glenn was the one that built the relationships with the vendors.
Knew all the managers, almost everybody in all the stores, and it was him, his passion, and his beliefs that kept everybody going.
We play off each other's strengths. We both had the same goal. We just wanted to build a really great company with great people, make a good living.
I don't really remember arguing. We
No.
we disagreed,
Yeah.
and talked about different ways to do it. But I don't remember looking at him and ever saying.
No,
"I'm
it
out
was
here."
never a serious argument. That was.
Yeah, I mean, so that's pretty unusual. I can't
Yeah.
say that about my wife.
No.
First or second.
As the idea took hold and proved itself, the growth seemed to feed upon itself.
It moved very fast. Those first few years, I mean, it went from 5 to 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 stores in a pretty quick time frame, certainly as the retail chains go.
Once you get into it, it's kind of like a snowball effect. You had to have merchandise, you kept opening stores,
Yeah.
and it was just kind of a...
We each had 4 or 5 credit cards.
Oh yeah. We had tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt
Yeah.
each. It wasn't like our expenses were high. It was just a matter of inventory was the number one thing.
We always said we wanted to be profitable every year, so we were profitable 95, which was only 2 months. But even at the end of 96,
Yep.
all the stores made money.
We were always
I mean,
profitable.
Because, and that was one thing we always held up later on when we got into stores and we were in competition with other concepts is, we always made money every year.
By 1998, Hat World had 29 stores and had opened a distribution center to service them. There were 23 employees in the corporate offices and growing seemingly daily. By 1999, the little company that could had grown to 105 stores in 22 states with revenues of $36 million. The grow fast, have fun, and stay in cheap hotels attitude was working, and with success came notice. In the world of sports apparel, now they were worthy of recognition, not only by leading manufacturers like New Era and Nike, but also by the leagues and conferences whose hat sales were now going through the roof. In the business world, too, there were accolades and positive press, and it was all leading to the moment that would catapult them to the big time. Boston-based Lids was the largest hat retailer in the world. Started in 1993, the company had over 400 stores compared to Hat World's 157. But in early 2001, Lids declared bankruptcy, and Hat World started working to raise the money to buy it up.
We were doing okay, but they had a lot of very good real estate. They just needed cleaned up. Yeah, we were a fan shop. They were more of the Gap.
Yeah.
They had colors and they had different things. Pink might have been in that year, light blue or whatever. Well, we didn't care about color palettes. We just wanted to know who you thought was going to win the Super Bowl and what teams were good.
It was a big competition because they were the only ones who did what we did. They thought they were going to buy us at some point, because they knew they were so much bigger than us and all that.
On April 13, 2001, the Lids bankruptcy judge allowed the Hat World takeover of Lids.
And my daughter was born the next day, and I was screaming at the nurses because I didn't have laptop access to read.
I thought it was a weak
contract.
I thought it was a weak excuse to get out of work myself.
The acquisition shook up the licensed apparel industry.
When they bought Lids, it was like David and Goliath. We thought, well, Lids should be buying Hat World, not the other way around.
The minnow swallowed the whale, basically. The scariest part of the whole deal to me was the day that we closed, second that the money transferred from our bank to their bank, everybody left from Lids, everybody. And we were in this big building in Boston, and it was just us.
That's tough to be able to go out and buy that many stores all at once, and the key there is obviously get the field and the office staff on the same page as fast as you possibly can, and that was, I thought, was their biggest challenge.
And for 6 months it was difficult because we went from bad to very, 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 very bad.
It was pretty much 6 a.m. till 11 o'clock at night. The systems were bad, their DC was a mess. You're trying to fix stores that have virtually zero product in them.
Getting hats to stores was a mess because the Lids distribution center was being consolidated into Hat Worlds in Indianapolis. Worse, the top vendors who had supplied the hats for Lids hadn't been paid millions of dollars, and that debt had been virtually erased in bankruptcy court.
Zephyr, they were one of the 5 main creditors involved in that. And so that was kind of a difficult time for those 5 vendors.
You did have some vendors that were burned because of the bankruptcy through Lids, so you had some were a little bit hesitant to jump back on.
It took 6 months to rebuild vendor trust, restock store shelves, and reset the direction of the company. 6 very long months.
God, like I said before, Maggie was born the day after. I really don't remember seeing her awake to where she was physically like awake, and I came home Friday night, Labor Day weekend, got home at 10:30 at night, and there she was smiling at me. When I walked in, my wife happened to capture that picture. I don't remember seeing her all summer.
Yeah.
Because we were in Boston closing down the warehouse.
People always, that's funny, people go, well, how'd you guys turn it around? We didn't turn anything around. We just took their stores that were profitable and kept them, and the other ones went away. And probably that November of '01 was the first time we looked at it and we said, you know what, we're going to make some money on this thing, because we now went from 150 to 400 very profitable stores, and I think we've got something here.
The lids deal was definitely probably the most important point in our timeline to legitimize what we have today.
It was challenging to keep the culture, you know, when you go from 150 stores to 500 stores, you know, you're gonna go through some challenges to keep everything the same. And that's one thing that we, you know, have taken great pride in throughout the years, is being able to have that small company feel with the culture, but yet still grow our business to where we need to.
I don't think you can say it any better with have fun, sell hats. It's, you know, as simple as that. So we find ways to kind of, you know, make our own competitions, whether it be in between departments.
It's fun-loving. You know, guys are high-fiving. You walk in the office, it's very casual. You know, there's no high pressure. You're not working for a big corporation.
We enjoy being around each other, and just waking up in the morning and knowing that it's going to be a good day at work is always fun.
It's definitely a good work hard, play hard combination. I think it comes from Glenn and Scott and Charlie, and I think the people that have been around forever everyone that's worked for them has kind of come up that way too.
The thing you got to give them credit about is they've stayed pretty true to everything over the years, to who they are and to what this company was started and was to be about, no matter how big we've gotten.
Anybody that tells you that people aren't the number one reason that a company succeeds
they're everything.
They're a fool.
You know, we have lots of different outside activities here at the office to kind of help break up, you know, the week, to help make it more interesting. Snack Attack is just one, you know, thing. It's every Thursday. We take 30 minutes and have popcorn and sodas. We all meet in the training room. Just lots of company picnics and holiday parties.
A lot of community involvement. You know, we do a lot of stuff with Riley, Habitat for Humanity. It goes right along with our culture, being able to help others. Kind of goes along with that we care about our employees, we care about other people too, so they work hand in hand.
I really look forward to every year is our Cold Feet Warm Shoes, where we go to an IPS school, we sit them down, we size them, and we give them a new pair of shoes, pair of socks. Colts players come, give them a t-shirt, a hat.
Through all the growth, the leaders of the company have always tried to promote first from within.
It's a great place to work. I mean, you can't ask for anything else. I mean, they treat you well, you work hard, they treat you well, and I mean, job security, you know, everyone's worried about jobs, you know, closing down, and we're growing.
I actually started in the recruiting department, and then about 9 months into that position, the marketing job became available, and that's actually what I went to school for. My boss at the time, you know, definitely pushed me in that way and said, this is what you want to be doing, and we want to keep good people here.
I think out of the first original 18 managers that started with Hat World, I think 13 of them are still with Hat World, and most of them have been promoted within and are, you know, higher up.
Pretty neat that we keep promoting from within and keeping the same people on, which is a testament to the culture, I think.
From November of 2001, following the acquisition and restructure of Lids, the company went on a tear, opening an average of 100 stores a year for 4 straight years. It posted double-digit profitability growth for over 4 straight years, dominating the market. It was only a matter of time before acquisition became a reality. In June 2005, Hat World was acquired by Genesco, the publicly traded parent of shoe retailers such as Johnston & Murphy and Journeys.
It was just one of those deals where we all looked and said, hey, this thing may last forever, but a run like this is kind of once in a lifetime. It's like winning, I equate it to winning 3 Super Bowls in a row, or maybe even something even more than that. This might be the best price you could ever get for it.
Yeah.
And so we courted about 8 or 9 different people, and Genesco happened to be it wasn't the highest bid, but it was the best fit.
Yeah.
We recognized that Genesco, probably more so than the others, were interested in fueling growth. And everyone who worked here was ambitious to grow the business, A, because it's fun, and B, because it creates great opportunities for all the people that work here.
It was hard on me, really hard on me. I mean, it was tough to let your baby go because you had all these people that you knew you could do all these great things for, but yet you had investors that, you had to take care of them.
But the great thing about Genesco is that even though we're public and they bought us, and so we report to somebody, it's really never felt like that.
No, they let us do our own business.
So, I mean, again, almost like him and I meeting and starting a company, finding Genesco was almost like another perfect piece to that puzzle.
Hat World continues to grow, opening stores internationally and acquiring other growth companies. Lids has continued to grow and diversify, adding new stores, but also new concepts, such as Lids Locker Room Fan Shops and the Lids Clubhouse division that manages retail elements for pro teams and college athletic departments. In addition, the Lids Team Sports division is now among the nation's largest team dealers to sports programs at the college, high school, and club sport levels, servicing a program's complete uniform and equipment needs. But it will always be a place about people.
There's 4,000 or 5,000 people employed because of an idea. And that probably is the coolest thing of all. We were just 2 guys that had an idea and probably had enough hair on in our armpits to do it. And really, there's hundreds to thousands of people that probably deserve as much, if not more, credit than Scott and I do. We just happen to be the 2 guys that started it, and that's how the story is, and it's a good story that way.
It's been a great ride.
Yep, you're welcome. It's been a blast. And remember, no matter where you're at,
No matter where you're at,
Wear a hat.
No matter where you're at,
Wear a hat.
No matter where you're at,
No matter where you're at,
No importa dónde estés.
wear a hat.
No matter where you're at,
Wear a hat.
No matter where you're at,
No matter where you're at,
wear a hat.
No matter where you're at, wear a hat.
wear a hat. We put that somewhere. It's the only marketing phrase I ever came up with.